Imagine a man who, by all accounts, had it all. Let's call him John. John had a successful career, a beautiful family, and a home that many would envy. Yet every morning as he looked at himself in the mirror, he felt a nagging emptiness. Despite his outward success, John felt disconnected from his own life. He was living a role prescribed by society, fulfilling expectations that weren't truly his. One day, exhausted from the charade, John decided to strip away the layers of societal demands and rediscover who he truly was. This decision marked the beginning of his journey toward authenticity. What does it mean to be authentic? It's about aligning our actions with our true selves and values. It sounds simple, but in practice, it's really not. Our world bombards us with messages about who we should be, what we should value, and how we should live. To be authentic means to sift through this noise and find our own voice, our own truth. To thine own self be true, wrote Shakespeare in Hamlet. Kierkegaard argued that most people live in a state of the crowd, conforming to societal norms without ever questioning their own beliefs and desires. This, he believed, led to a life of despair. To avoid this, Kierkegaard encouraged people to live passionately and authentically, and to make choices based on their own values, rather than those imposed by others. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, who am I really? What do I stand for? These questions prompt us to look beyond the surface. Jean-Paul Sartre, another profound thinker, emphasized that authenticity involves embracing our freedom and the responsibility that comes with it. Sartre famously declared, "Man is condemned to be free, because once thrown into the world, he is responsible for everything he does." This freedom can be daunting, but it's also liberating. It allows us to create our own meaning and live according to our own principles. Let's take a moment to reflect on how modern society influences our sense of self. Social media, for instance, has become a significant force in shaping our identities. We curate our lives online, often presenting an idealized version of ourselves. This digital persona can create a disconnect between who we are and who we present to the world. Have you ever felt the pressure to post something just because it's expected, even if it doesn't reflect your true feelings? This is where the struggle for authenticity becomes tangible. Living authentically requires courage. It means being vulnerable, showing the world who we truly are, imperfections and all. Brené Brown has extensively studied vulnerability and its connection to authenticity. She says, vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. This willingness to be vulnerable is what makes authenticity powerful. Now think about your daily life. How often do you make decisions based on what others expect of you versus what you genuinely want? It's a tricky balance. We're social beings, and our relationships often come with implicit expectations. However, prioritizing our authenticity doesn't mean disregarding others. It means finding harmony between our true selves and our social roles. It's about saying no when necessary and setting boundaries that honor our values. Take the example of Rosa Parks, whose act of defiance became a pivotal moment in the civil rights movement. Parks' refusal to give up her seat wasn't just an act of resistance against segregation, it was an expression of her authentic self. She once said, "I would like to be remembered as a person who wanted to be free, so other people would be also free." Her authenticity inspired change and highlighted the power of living true to oneself. Philosophers and psychologists alike have explored the concept of self-actualization, which is closely linked to authenticity. Abraham Maslow, renowned for his hierarchy of needs, placed self-actualization at the pinnacle. He described it as the realization of one's potential and the expression of one's true self. This, according to Maslow, is where true fulfillment lies. When we are authentic, we align with our deepest desires and capabilities, leading to a more meaningful and satisfying life. But authenticity isn't just a philosophical idea, it's a practical guide for living. It's about making conscious choices that reflect our values, even in the face of hardships. Consider Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl discusses how finding purpose and staying true to one's values can provide strength in the most harrowing circumstances. He wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." Frankl's emphasis on purpose and values underlines the essence of authenticity. It starts with self-awareness. We need to understand our values, strengths, and passions. Journaling, meditation, and introspective practices can help uncover these. Once we know what matters most to us, we can begin to align our actions with these values. For instance, if you value creativity but find yourself in a monotonous job, it might be time to explore opportunities that allow for more creative expression. This doesn't necessarily mean quitting your job immediately, but finding ways to incorporate creativity into your daily life. Maybe it's through a hobby, a side project, or even infusing more creativity into your current role. Also, authenticity calls for honest communication. This means expressing our true thoughts and feelings, even when it's uncomfortable. It's about having those difficult conversations that can lead to deeper, more meaningful connections. Authenticity fosters trust and respect in our relationships because people know they're getting the real us. Another crucial aspect is self-compassion. As we strive to live authentically, we're bound to make mistakes and face setbacks. Kristin Neff, a pioneer in self-compassion research, highlights the importance of treating ourselves with kindness during these times. She explains that self-compassion involves acknowledging our suffering, being kind to ourselves, and recognizing that we're not alone in our struggles. This approach helps us maintain our authenticity without falling into self-criticism. In our pursuit of authenticity, it's also so important that we surround ourselves with supportive people. These are people who accept us for who we are and encourage us to stay true to ourselves. They provide a safe space where we can express our authentic selves without fear of judgment. Cultivating such relationships can make the journey toward authenticity more manageable and rewarding. This brings us to the idea of legacy. What kind of legacy do we want to leave behind? When we live authentically, our legacy is one of integrity and genuine impact. Our lives become a testament to the power of being true to oneself. Let's always remember the words of Carl Jung. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Living authentically is not just a privilege, it's our responsibility to ourselves and to the world. So, the next time you find yourself at a crossroads, ask, what choice aligns with my true self? What decision reflects my deepest values? By consistently choosing authenticity, we can lead lives filled with meaning, purpose, and satisfaction. And in doing so, we not only transform ourselves but also inspire others, like our children, to embark on their own journeys of authenticity.